Okay, I think that's it. I think I'm going live on Facebook and YouTube, and welcome to anybody who's joining me today. Yeah, it's such an exciting time. There is so much going on at the moment. Just to let you know, I can get it to show you actually. Yeah, you can see the front of it. As you know, back in here, there we go. I went to Strasbourg to the Standing Up conference, and here is the new annual catalogue. It's got some gorgeous things in it, lots of scrapbooking things for people who are into that, and some nice new stamp sets and bundles and things. I have just put my first order in, and I'm waiting for that to arrive. So you'll see all the new in colours and everything when I get it here. Though you got a little sneak peek last week when I showed you all my swaps from Strasbourg. So we're back onto more normal stuff. I'm going to be making cards today, although I haven't got half the things I haven't got ready, but we'll be fine. I have got a lot of things ready. But I wanted to share the bundle I've got on the desk, and I need to just swap so you can actually see the desk instead of me. Just a second. Do let me know, by the way, in the chat when you... Oh, hang on, that's all moved where it should be. Let's just try and adjust that a bit. That's not too bad, I don't think. Right. It's still a bit off. It'll do. Yeah, do let me know where you're joining me from, and how is everybody today? It's absolutely glorious here. We've got blue skies, or it's a little bit of cloud now, although it has been sort of completely blue. It's been gorgeous, and we're due for a really lovely week, which is fabulous. Always makes me feel happy. Definitely spring is coming, so very happy about that. So what was I saying? Yes, all the various updates. So the new catalogue will be launching in May. So just a month to go. So we're in the pre-order bit for those of us that are demos. If you want to join, by the way, if you've got a wish list and want to join, you can order stuff from the new catalogue as part of the joining offer. So that's a way to see it early. But there are loads of stuff online. There were some new online exclusives recently. There are new kits coming out. There are 3 new kits for those of you that have got... Oh, Sligo. Hello, Margaret. Hi. And Margaret, yay, you got the masks. Excellent. Because we're going to use this one today, this particular set, which has just gone, because the other big update news is that the Last Chance products have updated. And this has actually gone into Last Chance products. A lot of what's gone into the Last Chance products are from the mini catalogue, which finishes at the end of this month. And also 1 or 2 things from the annual catalogue and some of the online exclusives. I do struggle to keep up with them all, I have to say. But I did notice today when I was just having a quick look that the Link Together bundle is actually in the Last Chance products. Now, I don't think there's any... Hi, Geraldine. Nice to see you too. I don't think there's any discount on it at the moment, but keep an eye because it can. And did you know, this is key for everybody because I only learned this recently, you can actually filter things like the Last Chance products. So if you filter it for 60% off or something like that, you'll see all the items that are very reduced, or 50% or 30%, whatever you want to put in. But you can filter, so you don't have to scroll through. I think there's about 13 pages of Last Chance products at the moment, which is crazy. But anyway, I did see that these have gone into there. So worth keeping an eye on because they might reduce in price if you haven't got them. And they are definitely worth getting. So the stamp set has a lot. I rather like this font. It's a very different font, which I rather like. So it's got a lot of nice... I'm not going to read them all out for you because you can see them all there. So the sentiments there, obviously, that can be mixed with wishing you a happy day, a life day, etc. And it comes with a set of dies, and the set of dies is beautiful. I've seen some fabulous cards made using this lattice die. I've already got some ideas actually for next week, but I might do it. No, I'll probably still do it next week. Or it's the blog hop next week. I've got another card in line for that, but I will be using that to show you how to use that. It's beautiful. You've got these lovely frames, a diamond and an oval, 2 different types of flowers as joint dies. So you cut 2 out at once, 4 out at once from there, and some sort of sprig leaf type dies, as well as all the words in the die set. So really nice dies to go with it. They don't match. Obviously, there's no images for them to match, but you can just cut out the die cuts and make some nice cards with them, as I shall hopefully show you today. Good afternoon, Jenny. Lovely. South Africa, 3 p.m. there. Okay, so you're an hour ahead of us. I can never keep up with times. I get very confused by times. I know South Africa isn't too far away from us, so that's good to know. Thank you. So the other bit of the bundle that it comes with, I mean, you can just buy the stamp set and dies, but if you buy the whole bundle, you get these masks as well. Let me just put that over there so I don't lose the place to keep them in. And there are 5 different masks. So you've got like a really sort of open lattice, followed by a sort of slightly more closed in lattice, then an even more closed in bit, then a sort of half type shape, and then these lovely patterns in the middle. And the beauty of these masks, which I have to say are never going to go on my retired list, I'm going to keep these, because you can use them all separately. So you could have a background for a card just using this one, for example. Can you see that okay? See the pattern on it? Makes a beautiful background for a card. And of course, because it's a mask, you can use any colour over it, which means that you can adapt it to any colour scheme that you want to use. You can use any of these in that way as well. You could use that one. That's another interesting back for a card. You could use that again, just as a simple backing on its own. And actually, one of the lovely ladies that was at the Stamping Up conference, Elaine Sewell, her swaps, she made them using different masks on different swaps. So she did similar swaps, but used the different background, one of each of the, she had all 5 type backgrounds as her cards, and that's what she used as swaps. So they're so versatile. That's what I love. But you can, of course, use them all together, which is what I'm going to show you today. So let me get on. I just need to get out the ones I want to do. So what did I want to use? Wishing You, which is that one. Where's my long block? That'll do for that one. Wishing You, which one was I going to use? A Happy Day. Let's use A Happy Day. So Wishing You a Happy Day. I haven't got another long block. I must have another long block. Let me just reach over the back of here. I have, of course, got another long block. Put that one on there. Don't need those. Honestly, I need to tidy up a bit around here as usual. It's amazing how messy my desk gets when I'm crafting. Okay, so to make the card today, I have got an envelope, because I'm going to show you how to use the masks to decorate the envelope and the inside of the card. I have already die cut various bits I'm going to use. So it is getting towards the end of the annual year for Stamping Up. So I do want to keep using the previous ink colours that will be retiring at the end of this month. So I've used Moody Mauve, which is one of the retiring ones, which is one of my favourites from it. I actually like all the colours. Particularly like boho blue. I'm distressed that that's going, because it's a beautiful blue, but anyway, it is. So I'm using Moody Mauve, and this is, I should have said about the basic card. This is the basic card, the usual size card. So for UK sizes, 21 by 14.8, scored at 10.5. If you're using US cardstock, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25 inches. Then the next layer down, that is 10 by 14.3 centimetres, or in inches, 4 inches by 5.25. Now, the next layer, you'll see if I hold it on, it's not actually the same type of layer as I would normally do. It's actually slightly shorter. And that's because the one thing I don't like about the masks, they are sized for US size cardstock. So to cover the mask, to get a bit where the mask will cover without margins top and bottom, if you like, it needs to be the same size as the mask. And I've forgotten to write that down, but I'm pretty sure it's about 3 3/4 inches. Yeah, it is. So in centimetres, it is 9.5 centimetres by 13. So 9.5 by 13 centimetres. I think I have already put it in the blog. I've just haven't looked at it. So 9.5 centimetres by 13 centimetres for your basic white layer. Then you need a piece of, I have used here, bubble bath for this layer. This is cut out from the die using the diamond. So I've used bubble bath for that. And then I have also cut out the oval shape using basic white. So those are the pieces I've actually got. I've got a couple of scrap pieces for those sentiments as well. And then I have already cut out some some flowers and leaves, which we'll come to in a bit to decorate. So I want to focus at the moment. Let me just move those bits over there to the side, because we're going to focus obviously on this bit. Actually, I'll stick this layer on, and then I don't need to worry about losing it. So we'll have that layer on the card. So that's just a mat for the front of the card. And I've gone with a sort of pink tones today to match with the moody mauve background here. So that is, if it was straight, it'd be even better. That's not too bad. There we go. So I need to get a nice bit of, I've used this a couple of times for masks, as you can see, so we'll try it again. And I also want some of my removable adhesive, which of course I've just put the catalogue on top of, and you don't need much of it, but the beauty obviously is it is removable. I get that from Amazon if you're interested. So we shall put that down here, somewhere in the middle, and then I can set the masks on top. So I stick that to the paper so that'll all move around together and won't fall off. And then I can add the mask on top, which is, as I said, sized to fit just about, it's a little bit top and bottom there, and actually it more or less fits with that mark there. And what I would do on your paper, get a fresh bit of paper instead of me reusing bits, is just draw around the mask when you've got it in position, this is going to confuse me because obviously I've drawn this several times on this piece of paper using these masks, but it's fine. So this one's today's. I'm going to put an arrow on top so I know which one. And then we can, once we're happy with the position, just moved slightly when I drew around it. There we go. Perhaps needs to be slightly bigger than 9.5 sideways. So that's only just big enough. So I'm going to use some tape just to hold down the corners, so that's not going to move. And then I have got 3 different coloured ink pads. I've got my moody mauve to match my background, my pretty in pink, which is what I've cut the flowers out of, and bubble bath, which is what I've cut the diamonds out of, because I'm going to build it up. And because I'm going to go from light to dark, I only need one blending brush, because you can move from light to dark. Do not ever try and move from dark to light. That does not work, and you'll just damage your ink pads by getting a mix of ink on them. But if you're moving from a lighter ink to a darker ink, you don't need to worry about getting a clean blending brush or anything. You can move from light to dark better. Oh, thanks, Emma Lou. You like those colours. Good. I'm glad you do. I just couldn't decide what colours, but it's so spring-like at the moment. I thought I've got to use these. So as always, dab off and then start to colour over your mask. So we'll have to talk a lot today because I'm going to be doing a lot of sitting doing this, which is going to, to some extent, get a little bit boring for you. But they've got a couple of techniques to share to do with blending when you're using these masks. So I'm just going to add this colour throughout the whole mask. This ink pad is not that juicy. I'm not picking up that much ink on it, but it'll do. So I'm just going to make sure I've covered the whole thing. Take a while. Talk among yourselves. So has anybody had a chance to look at the Last Chance products? As I said, it's quite surprising how many things have been added, which I think must be near the end of the lines. We don't anymore get a retiring list. At least I don't think we do. I haven't seen anything to do with that. We used to get a list of the products that were retiring, but I think now they just put them in Last Chance products, so we have to work it out for ourselves, which is fine. But I'm a bit sad these are retiring. I would definitely, if you haven't got these masks, even if you don't buy the rest of the bundle, do get these masks. They are just so useful because, as I said, they can make backgrounds for cards. You can do all sorts with them. So I'm just going to finish around here, colour all this in, make sure I've coloured all around and got it as even as I possibly can. I want that to look pretty even all the way over. So there's my first mask, and then I can just take off the 2 bits of tape, which I'll keep because I'll use them again. Take that mask off, and you can see the pattern is left on my piece of card there, which is lovely. Now, cleaning masks, dead simple. You just need a bowl of soapy water, drop them in, and they almost clean themselves, to be honest. Just even running them under the hot tap is often enough. So get this lined up again with my... You can, the other thing is you can actually see through the masks. So when you are lining them up again, I can see where the white lines are between my diamonds that I've previously covered. So I don't need to worry too much because I can get those straight. But my head's probably in the way now. But I can get that straight like that, as well as using my marker for my dip. Now, for this second layer, I'm actually going to use the same colour. I'm going back in with Bubble Bath. And you'll see the effect it has when we've done this layer. So the other thing you can do is just, you don't need lots and lots of colours, because some of you are probably thinking, why do the masks? Yeah, they do, Emily. I did show you that probably just before you came on. I'll show you that in a minute. Well, you'll see it all. You'll see it all because that's what we're doing today. So now I'm adding another layer of this colour, which is just going to come darker in the areas that this mask, where you know, the open areas of this mask. So you can perhaps see against the corner from the rest of it, this is going quite a bit darker. And this pad really is quite dry. Need to re-ink this one, I think. I have decided this week that my Memento is getting to the end of its life. Despite being re-inked a lot of times, it's getting a little bit tatty. So I think I am going to treat myself to a new Memento pad. Ink pads don't last forever, although it's amazing how long they do last, really, given some of the work some of them have to do, particularly Memento, because I use it all the time. So you can see I'm just putting the darker colour on here. And using these blending brushes, I find I can hold the handle in my palm and I use my finger on the top, and that's just to sort of control where the head's going, make sure it's giving an even pressure, which just helps put the colour on more evenly. So just finish this bit here, and then you can see the effect of the second mask. So Emily, what I was saying at the start is you can use these masks separately to make background patterns, or we can add them all together, and you can use as many of the masks as you want. There are 5, so you could use 3, you could use 2, you could use all 5, you can use 4, totally up to you, or just the one. I was saying that one of my friends made some lovely swaps, which was just using all of the different masks to make lots and lots of different cards. So each card had a different mask pattern in a different colour, and it was just, they were lovely. So there is the second layer. So again, I'm going to take this off, and hopefully you'll be able to see. There we go. So you can see with me talking, I think I lined that up absolutely perfectly. But can you see there's a sort of edge? So we've got a darker colour and then an edge lighter colour around it. If you can see that terribly well in there, hopefully you can. So the next layer is going on again. So I'm going to try and line it up a bit better using my notch. That's it. So stick that one down. This is the next layer. So, whoops. Helps if you stick the tape over the mask, Carol. There we go. So now I'm going to change ink pads. So that one was Bubble Bath, and now I'm going to move to Pretty in Pink. So I can use, as I said, the same blending brush because this is a darker colour than the one I was using. Pretty in Pink is darker than Bubble Bath, so it's fine to use the same blending brush. So now we're going to do exactly the same as before and go over it in this next colour. And you'll be able to see that that's adding yet another layer of colour to this. But it's, again, it's in a smaller area. So you've got the 3 colours acting as sort of edged things, if that makes sense. So you can see how they're going to add up. So hopefully that makes sense now, Emily, that they all will add together, which is lovely. So the only thing we're doing it live is that this takes quite a long time. So talk among yourselves a bit. But it's worth taking that. It's very relaxing, actually, sitting doing blending. I have to say, I do find it very relaxing to do. So there we go on that one. I mean, you could use 5 different colours if you wanted, as long as they went together. But I find this going darker and using the same colour and repeating it just to add more depth of colour just gives you a nice effect. I can't get my tape off now. There we go. Oop. Mask's so well from the tape, hasn't? There we go. So hopefully, ignore the messy bits of the paper. Can you see that we've got the 3 different colours there now? Hopefully it's coming out in the picture there. So we've got the 3 different shades building up. So now we go to the 4th mask, and the masks all have the number in the corner just underneath the cutout. As I said, the cutout is there to help line them up, which does work very well. But because you can see where the white is, you can actually line it up quite well. There we go. Stick that down again. And this time I'm going back in again with Pretty in Pink. So you could use the one background and then this one, or you could use this one and the next one, or, you know, there are so many ways you can use these masks. It's just great. As I said, these are never going on my retired list. These are going to stay in my stash because I've really slightly fallen in love with them. It took me a while to sort of decide what I really wanted to do with them. But now I think I've decided I quite fell in love with them. So I haven't already made a card in a different set of colours just to show you some different ways to use this set because it's so versatile. As I said, you can make so many different cards with all of these as individual backings. I was going to do that, but I haven't had time. So you'll have to just imagine some of those. But very relaxing, as I said. Okay. So that's what we're looking like now, which is the light doesn't seem very good to see those, but hopefully you can see them all right. You've got the 4 different layers on there now, as you can see. And then we're going to go into movie mode for the last layer. Did I say movie mode? Moody mode. I can't even speak. Moody mauve for the last layer. So again, just try and make sure it's lined up with my lines and the background and the marks I've already made on the paper, which are confusing because I've got several sets of, I've used this for quite a lot of mask using. Really could get myself a different sheet of copy paper. So again, Moody Mauve, darker colour again, I can use the same blending brush. So this time picking up this much darker colour to give a real contrast. And this is a much juicier pad, as you can see. So we're just going over in that final colour, make sure I've done the whole, yeah. So then when we get this off, and as I said, easy to wash, they just go straight in soapy water and they will be as good as new. I can now take this off its rather horrible sheet, get rid of that very quickly. And there we have the final picture, the final pattern. Okay, and you can see I think I made this 13.5. I think 13.2 is probably a better figure, but we can trim that, not a problem. And the blending brush as well, we just clean that in soapy water and it will be as good as new. There will be some staining, there always is, which is why you buy them as a set of 3, and I actually use mine to do the sort of different primary colours. So I've got one that does all the red colours, this one I've used for this. I'm just going to trim that little bottom off because I don't need that bit. So I'm lining it up with the edge of my trimmer blade, and then I can cut off the white that I don't want. So how big is that? And then I can actually change the measurement. So yeah, it's 12.7 actually, 12.7. I think I said 13, so 12.7. I will change that in the blog before it's published. So as I said, the only thing I don't like is that it's US sized for US sized cardstock. You must have a play with yours. Absolutely, you must, Margaret. I'm sad to hear you haven't yet. But hopefully you can see the sort of detail in there that you get. You've got the 4 different layers that act as a very light outer one with the white sort of borders around the lattice, and then a slightly darker middle diamond, and then the bottom bit, and then the so many bits. But it just provides a rather lovely effect. So that is the effect with all 5. As I said, you don't need to use all 5. You could use just 1 or even just 2 of them. In fact, if we've got time at the end, I'll just use 2, and then we'll see. We'll have to get a new blending brush, or unless I use 2 darker colours, who knows. Anyway, this is to make the card up. So I am going to just stick this on the front of my card. Like that. And I want it just slightly. Now I'm going to have it more or less in the middle, actually. Yeah. So I've got the same sort of gap top and bottom and similar gaps either. Oops. Oh no, it's just moved. Sometimes the Tombow moves when you don't actually want it to. Don't move like that, please. Thank you. Just try and make sure that's straighter. That's a bit better. Oh dear, can't have it moving when you don't want it to. And then I can do the sentiments, which I'm going to do in Moody Mauve. So that is going to be wishing you. So I've just got little scraps of card here for these. So wishing you. Managed to get Moody Mauve down my fingernail there. Goodness knows how. There's a little lump of it as well. Just make sure that's gone. Yeah. And then for the bigger bit here, a happy day. There we go. Now, while those are just drying, before I want to start cutting around those, just close my ink pad. Let me show you, hopefully I haven't got too much on here, where I want to put these. So this triangle here will go in the center. Now you'll notice that the only thing that slightly annoys me about the set is that this triangle does not actually fit exactly the diamonds. Can you see if I get the points right at the edges, it doesn't reach the sort of point between at the sides. But hey, we can live with that. We can live with that. It doesn't quite fit with that lattice, but it's good enough. So I'm going to stick this on, and you can see I'm doing most of these layers as let's make sure that's lined up there. Most of these layers just as flat, because there's quite a lot of layers on the card, and I'm getting increasingly aware of the cost of postage for cards, so I'm not using nearly as many dimensionals as I used to. And then this, which has now got a bit of ink on it from my fingers. Never mind. So this is the oval, and I'm going to just stick that on plain, like this in the center, and we're going to have it going that way. And that little bit of ink on, I'm not going to worry about, because that's where I'm going to use my various bits here, which will cover it up. So I've got a couple of these leaf sprigs, which I'm going to get, I'll have them that way around, which are going to stick across there. So I'm just going to use little dobs of glue. I actually bought myself these little glue pens, which are not Stampin' Up, because my we do have the fine tip glue pens, but unfortunately mine's completely blocked up, and I cannot for the life of me get it going again. So I bought these, and I'm actually finding them quite good. The glue from them is actually coloured, so you can see quite well where you're putting it. I know Tombow's white, but trying to do little dots all over these with Tombow is perfectly possible, but life's too short. So I'm using that pen because it's easier. So I'm going to have this one coming down this side, just like that. Just hold it for a second to make sure it's sticking. And then we will have the other one the other side. I can't remember the company for these pens, but I think I bought, they were a set of 10, so I got plenty, which is nice. Keep me going for a while. So we'll have this down there, and that will cover up my little glue bit as well, which is good. So you can't see where I made the little glue mistake. And then we have our flowers. Now, how I did those, I cut 4 out of a piece of cardstock. I got the actual piece of cardstock here. No, I haven't. I don't know where the bit is. But what I did, because they come as a set of 4, I cut 4 out, and then I simply moved the die down 1 and cut the 5th one out. So I didn't waste any card, and I didn't have any extra flowers than I wanted. So just another little tip, you can do that when you've got a multiple cutting bit there. Then I'm going to use this. This is an old tonic embossing tool, and I can just use my palm and just put a little bit of shape in these flowers by pressing in the center. And you can see these ones come with a hole cut. I'm not bothered about that. The only thing you have to watch is when you stick it on, the glue comes through the hole, which is okay, because I'm going to stick gems down the middle anyway. So where's my Tombow gone? I am going to use Tombow for this. So we've got to work out where we're going to put these. So we'll have something like that, I think. Or should we have them like that? Is that too spread out? No, I really want one nearer the center. Move that one out a bit. Yeah, something like that. So we'll have one here. Now I'm going to get glue on me now. Hang on, I might use this. Always get glue on myself anyway, of course, but so I've just laid them out, and now I'm just going to drop them in place here on my little blobs of glue. And although most of it will come through the hole, there's enough on the edges just to hold it down without losing the shaping that I've just given to this flower. Because if I put the whole thing down flat, I'm going to lose the shaping I've just added, which is not my aim. So there we go. Ooh, I'm going to use that. Just press those into their glue to hold them down. That's better. There. Clean that before I leave it with nasty glue on it. Okay, so there are my flowers. I'm going to let those dry before I put the gems on them. And now it just remains to pop this on. And then I wanted to show you about using the masks for the patterns on there and on the envelope. So I'm going to have Wishing You at the top. And I think, do some snips. I think we'll just use that straight. No, we'll have a bit of an angle. So I'm going to cut off an angle and use the bit I've cut off to get the angle right for the other side. Just turn it over and pop it the other end of where I want my shape, so that I know that those are parallel. So that's my Wishing You at the top. And then for this one, sorry, I'm going a bit croaky, I don't know why. I'm just going to shape around the letters. I'm really croaky, sorry. Which is just like this, just really following the letters without getting too worried about them. Just sort of following where the letters go and just cutting a little bit of a border. Does make it a very easy way to just shape without worrying about parallel lines or anything like that. So while I'm just doing this, I need to ask Geraldine, are you feeling a bit better? Because you really weren't very well last time I spoke to you. So I hope things are a little bit better by now. Just come around the Y here at the bottom. Around that round, I've left a little, there we go. So we've got Wishing You a Happy Day, and I'm just going to pop those on with some dimensionals, which I've now put my dirty masks on top of. Oh my goodness, right. So we can get big ones on this one. I'll use 2 because I'm running out. I'll have one big one in the middle, and then I'll need little ones for the edge. Looks like I'm going to have a new pack of minis as well as bigger dimensionals. Always something to add to orders. So yes, thank you. Approving slowly. I'm so glad. I hope you're taking care. I'm really glad. Can you order catalogues now to post out to customers? Yes, you can. I can even find you the number in a minute. Although if you, I think they came up actually on my, can't remember. If you search for the catalogues, it will come up with the number. Because I've just ordered the order I've put in. I've just ordered my catalogues. So I'm having that parallel with the top and then that across the bottom. So there is my card, wishing you a happy day with my flowers in the middle. And the only thing I have left to add in are my gems. So I'm using these are from 2 years ago in colours, I think. But they just were the right gems for this, in my view. I miss these colours. I think that year was one of my absolute favourite in colours. I usually find for most years I go, oh, I'm unsure about you in colours. You're new and I'm not sure I like you. And then as soon as you start using them, you start to get to really like them. There we go. So there is my completed card with my sparkly gems, if you can see those in the middle, and my lovely background created by there. And I just wanted to, before we finish with this card, show you how I would just do a little bit of a background. So I would choose one of these, probably this second one actually, and we can just put it over here. Need my backing paper again, and I'm just going to use the colour that's on the pad, to be honest, because there we go. So we'll have on the blending brush. So I've just covered the sort of corner of the card. It is inside, and I'm just going to add a little bit of pattern like that, so it picks up on the front. You could put different layers. I could put a different layer on top and have another pattern on top, and then we'll have a little bit in the top corner as well here. There's enough ink on this just to give me a little bit of colour, and hopefully enough for the envelope as well. So there, I've just added a little bit of colour onto there. You could have it diagonally across the corner or make it random like I have, and then stamp a sentiment, which I've forgotten to get out, so I can't do that just at the moment. And then I can do the envelope in exactly the same way. So I think we'll have it going across here now, like that. Yeah, perhaps that much. You can decide for yourself then how much you have in, and I'm just holding, because I'm not going to repeat a pattern on here, I'm just putting one layer. Which is up to you. You could repeat it if you wished, but I'm just going to use that one layer, slightly less up at the top end here, just like that. It's up to you, but it's easy, as you can see, just to use this to provide little bits of colour, just to decorate. Oh, that was the top and that was the bottom. See, I should have checked the envelope, but it's fine. So there is my card and my envelope that I've made. So I hope you like that. It's such fun using these masks, and as I said, they are currently in the last chance products, so definitely worth a look. And just to show you something completely different, here is the one I made using different colours, and here I use Lemon Lolly, Daffodil Delight and Wild Wheat, with copper clay as the top layer, and this is copper clay, and you can see the oval will actually fit into the diamond both ways round. So this time I actually stamped the sentiment on the oval and added my flowers and leaves around the edge. Obviously you could put any other decoration you want from any other set, but just using the same bundle, I wanted to try and get everything from the bundle, although Thank You is actually from a different set. So there we go. There are two different cards made in the same way with this gorgeous stamp set. I just like playing with it, and I like using a set of similar colours, just going from light to dark. You could use lots of different colours. I was going to try and let me show you on some sort of scrap. I'm just going to be scrapbooks. What have I got? That'll do. Bit of scrap. Oh, that's not the background. Where is it? There we go. I was just about to use that envelope as a background there. That's not what I wanted to do. So we'll have to use this as the base colour. or I can go and get something. I can go and get another brush to make something different. But if we use this one as the base colour, I'm not going to stick it down. I'm just going to use it to sort of give you an idea of what it would look like with different colours. So say we used this one. This is mask, which one is it? Mask 2. So just colour this, but using that for mask 2. And then again, we can either use another layer of the same colour. So where was my mask 3? There we have mask 3. So we'll just this is where I really ought to line them up properly and draw around them. But this mask, this is the offset mask, so it doesn't. Where's my movie mode? There we go. So let's use that. So we'll add on another layer of movie mode to this one. I'm just holding it. I should really stick it down, but it'll do. And you'll see the sort of sideways colour come out on this. So this is using just masks 2 and mask 3. Now this is very dark now, and I don't know if another colour is going to really come out on top. We shall have to see. But anyway, there you can see the sort of 2 offset masks. There it gives an edge. I haven't done the bottom very well, but it's just to show you. And then you can add a darker colour still. Let's go with early espresso. It's about the darkest. Ooh, can I reach my early espresso? Because again, I can go dark to dark, and I will just use that one as to colour on here. So I can go darker again. And this is without mask 4, so you'll see these will sort of stick out over the side of these triangles because I haven't put mask 4 on. This is going straight to mask 5, but it just gives you an idea. There we go. I've used quite dark colours, so it's difficult perhaps to see all the detail, but you get the idea. So you can mix and match with these completely. You could use just the outer mask like that one and just put this one on top. So you get a picture like that. That's just using those 2 masks. Yeah. Sorry, it's dark because it's got my. Let me turn that over. Oh no, I've used both sides, so so it's messy on both sides, but you can get the idea. So just those 2 together would look lovely as well. Yeah. And they're using contrasting colours there would be really good, say a pale green and then, I don't know, a bright blue or something on top as your afternoon or something like that would look really nice. I'd have to go and wash these obviously before I use them again, so I'm not going to do that because it takes time for them to dry. So when I do wash these, I actually leave them just in my draining board, to be honest. Where's my 5th one? There we go. And just leave them to dry naturally. I don't try and dry them too much with a towel or anything. So hopefully that's given you some ideas with these. As I said, what I really should have done, and because I didn't have time, unfortunately, is to use this and show you mixing the 2 different masks a bit more. I suppose I could just show you. Let's just show you on this scrap of paper. So if I colour in lightly with this one, so I've got a mix now of espresso and moody mauve. Wow, how strange! And then you could put, say, this one on top. And get this effect. Obviously, you should clean all your masks between, etc., etc., etc. But there it is with that effect that I showed you could put together. So many different ways to use the masks. They're so lovely. Really like these masks, and I really like the set as well. And I've seen some gorgeous part cut out cards using the die from the stamp set, from the bundle, the stamp bundle. This one, you sort of cut out a piece in the middle of the card, and then you can have flowers coming up this trellis because it acts a bit like a trellis, so you can make the most beautiful cards that way as well. Now, I was going to just pop something in Enjoy in the centre of my card to finish it, which I haven't actually done. Oops, take that one off from there. just to finish off the card properly, let me just bring that back in. And having put my pattern in the middle of the card, I can now just stamp my enjoy. Or wishing you a happy day, enjoy. I'm probably covered in ink, so I'm going to be careful touching my cards now, but there we go. All right, so that is my ideas for making some really rather gorgeous cards with this fabulous mask and bundle set. I would love to show you going from, say, soft seafoam with azure afternoon on top, or perhaps boho blue and then azure afternoon, or something like that. You could just mix the colours so much with these, and it is such great fun to be playing with. But hopefully you like those cards and we'll have a go. As I said, this set is currently in the last chance products. It'll come up if you type it in, linked together, and you'll see the bundle there. So I do hope you have a go. The full measurements and things for the card and details of the products will be in the blog, which will be published very soon. I just want to take some pictures of the card so I can put that in it. And yeah, hopefully I will see you again next week. Don't forget, for those that get my email, hopefully you've got all the details for the Craftalong, free Craftalong I've got. That's via Zoom on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. And if you haven't got the Zoom link, then please email me at carol@craftycarolscards.co.uk and I will send it to you together with the list of supplies you need for that card. We're going to make a fun fold card. So I hope you can join me then. And thank you for joining me today, folks. Great to see you. And thanks for joining in the chat, and goodbye for now.